Oh, hi everybody. I suppose the most difficult thing to discuss is a case like Lucy Letby. Most people feel disgust at what supposedly happened. Me personally, from what I've been hearing and what experts, and I'm talking about experts, forensic pediatricians themselves, doctors, and some legal experts, the suggestion is that actually these children sadly did actually die naturally, that she did not do what is claimed. This is, of course, based entirely on the fact that normally, I mean, as we say, normally, someone with a psychopathic personality would not kill with lots of different methods, almost testing out how to do it, uh, nor would they wait 4 years on a specific unit and then suddenly start killing. There appears to be um, a lot wrong with the suggestion that it was Lucy. There's also the suggestion of the understaffing and the leaks from sewage carrying pipes getting onto the floor and possibly ending up on the hands of nurses that were preparing baby formula, etc. Interestingly enough, someone who's an expert on formula is saying that formula should not be given to such tiny babies. It should be given only under certain circumstances, and normally you would have expressed milk for such tiny babies, and that I have heard before. There's also the fact that 33 cases were sent to the police. The police then let this bloke, I believe his name was Evans, look at the material, and he did it down to six, just six, and said, well, she was there during the six. Uh, those six were charged with those six. And if there was 33 deaths, as well as that, then why was she not charged with any others? What we're saying is what they actually did is looked for when she was there, decided to charge her for when she was there, and the others were just dismissed because they died on similar symptoms apparently. So you end up with, did they just get some evidence and make it fit her, or did it in fact they were natural deaths, and but because she was there for six of them, it must be her fault. It's very difficult. And the more I hear about it, the more I suspect that actually it wasn't her, but actually the it was very easy to make it look as though it was. And you have to remember the evidence was all circumstantial. There's also this stuff that Mr. Evans, having taken evidence, made it then fit. The chap, I don't know if it was him or not, it could have been somebody else, gave evidence in court. And the evidence he gave concerning the way the babies died was at times in direct conflict with the post-mortems. And he was attributing their deaths to Lucy. Well, if they were in direct conflict with some of the post-mortems, then immediately you're questioning why he thinks it was her. And is he making a guess and making it fit? Because you have to remember, it didn't just say they died from milk overdoses. They're supposed to have died from air being injected. They're supposed to have died from insulin as well, among other things. And I don't know of any other serial killer testing out all different ways. Um, uh, it's very peculiar. And there were other suggestions as well about how they died, which were attributed to her. I'm sort of at a loss. And we also know that the medical notes that she had in her pocket, those little medical handover notes, it was suggested to the jury that this was uh, not normal, but it is normal. Nurses regularly carry small handover notes when they take over, um, to remind them about what the babies had, when it was last fed, when this kind of thing. And then, if the notes have not been fully written up, the main medical notes, they would possibly take those little handover notes and say that that's my handover notes. And they would then add them as notes in longer format in the actual main medical notes. She wasn't carrying folders and files, she wasn't doing that. I do agree that when all this was going on, she was falling apart at the seams, that she felt that they were blaming her, and she was panicking, she was in a state, uh, she was all over the place. And I've just been hearing that she also went out on the town while she was still on bail. And I think to some degree it may be, but she thought, well, they're going to send me to prison for life anyway, so I'll enjoy myself now. That sounds mad, but she was a young girl. And people act differently under stress. So we can't therefore look at that and say, well, that means that she didn't care. It probably means that she cared an awful lot more. And I am not convinced at all that she did this. Um, I mean, if she were to suddenly, say, yes, I did, it was me, because she's doing the sentence that she's doing, which is for the rest of her natural life. Uh, Obviously, I would, apologise for saying what I'm saying and withdraw all of it. But at this moment in time, she's still saying, it wasn't me, I didn't do it, this is all wrong. And I'm beginning to think that actually that is the case, um, particularly with what has been said by other real experts. I'm no expert, I'm simply looking at what they're saying and coming to the conclusion they could be right. And that is the important thing. Anyway, I just wanted to say this. I'm going to see if I can get it onto the site that's dealing with this and talking about it, although it'll have to go on the main YouTube site. Anyway, I must say, I do not want to upset anybody. I realise this is a very upsetting subject. However, we must also consider that at this moment in time, police are investigating all the deaths. I believe up to 1,500 babies in the medical centre in Nottingham, which I do actually know because I used to live in Nottingham for a while. And the unit, this is where babies are born and everything, a maternity unit. We have another situation: understaffing, cuts to services, funds cutting, not enough staff. And this is why a lot of people think that actually in the Chester unit where Lucy worked, that was why babies were dying. And it looks also that this is the case in this maternity place, although we have no way have they investigated yet. We're not at that stage. But if they were to then suddenly pull out and say, "Oh, it's a nurse doing it," in the medical centre in Nottingham, I would go, "Yeah, here we go again." This is the problem, and this is not the first time. There's a male nurse who was released for killing 6 people, and he didn't do it. And in the Netherlands, there was a nurse who was locked away for the rest of her life, who's also been freed because they were natural deaths. And so, this does happen. Anyway, bye bye, everybody. Bye.